First new item, item number BC 2020-395, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to a contract with Republic Services of Cleveland, doing business as Browning Ferris Industries of Ohio, Inc., for rubbish removal services for various county buildings, and is for the period May 1st, 2017 through April 30th, 2020, to extend the time period to December 31st, 2021, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $320,000.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Department of Public Works. This first item, we're looking to amend the contract with Republic Services. They provide the rubbish removal services at county buildings on a weekly basis. This amendment is to extend the time period until the end of next year and add additional funds to cover those services. This was a formal bid that we conducted with OPD with 6 vendors, 1 bid being submitted. I do know there were some questions that were submitted. I was unfortunately on furlough last week and walked into a few things today, so I will try to answer all those questions here at the meeting. The first question I know is why was this extension coming in so late? So this one I am semi-familiar with. One of my staff members had started to reach out to Republic in early March with getting a new contract executed, requesting required documents. With the COVID-19, Republic, they openly admitted that they had some staffing challenges with essential personnel and whomever in the office that would be responsible for helping us get those documents, be it the actual executed contract, insurance, workers' comp, et cetera. So we had some challenges with working with this vendor, and they knew that it was critical that we got this as soon as possible, but unfortunately, we didn't get the final documents until the end of May. I believe our first attempt at getting it through Lawson system was June 1st. I know there was some back and forth with OPD and just the actual submission in the Lawson system. They have been providing services. We do require services continue with getting rubbish picked up. It can cause additional problems or complications with pests, et cetera, if we don't have that taken care of. As far as payments were made until the end of the contract date. We have not paid them since the end of the actual contract date. And then I know the last question is asked if the vendor's union. I do have a question out to them. I'm not 100% sure, so I can't really answer if they're union or not until I find out definitely from them.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Are there any questions from the board members on this item?
Yes, this is Dale, and I have one question. And is it how much are we paying on a per unit basis or however quantity is calculated as compared to what we're currently paying?
So are you asking for what we're paying like per building?
Well, I don't know how it's calculated. Is it done per stop? Is it done based on how much stuff is collected? But however it's measured, are we paying the same as what we've been paying, or are we paying more? And if so, how much more?
No, we're paying the exact same, and this dates back to the original contract period. The way this contract is set up, it's per stop, per size of container being emptied. But we are paying the same amount. This is the second amendment. The first amendment was to actually change the scope to reduce prices. There was a reduction in costs and fees and change in the container refresh fees. So we're actually paying the exact same from when this was bid out.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any further questions from the board members?
Just one, Ann Baker.
Sure.
Yes.
Just curious, I know that Republic Services is pretty strict, at least with the experience I've had with them. And if you don't let them know by a certain date that you are going to renew, you automatically renew. Is that part of our contract also?
The challenge we have with Republic is they have such a very, very high turnover rate. So since this contract started taking place, I think we're on our 3rd batch of reps that actually oversee this contract, which actually kind of complicated things when we went to amend it because the new representative of the Republic that we had to work with for this amendment, they weren't too familiar with our contract. But all of our contracts, I don't believe this contract has auto-renew language, but I know in the beginning, I believe when this started, which was back in 2017, I think the vendor wanted auto-renew language, and we were specific in telling them that no matter if there is auto-renew language, it's not really impactful because it still has to be approved by County Board of Controller Council. So, you know, whether our new representative is familiar with that, but I don't think the contract has that language in it because it doesn't really apply, the auto-renew, it still has to be board approved.
If you could, you know, no hurry, but if you could check that language, only because we went around in circles with them, and of course, we're much smaller, don't have the clout the county does. But, you know, if you don't renew by a certain date, you're automatically renewed for not the whole year.
I'll double check. I've been kind of admin myself with not having that language, just because it's almost meaningless because it still has to be board approved here at the county. So, but I will verify that it does or does not have that language.
All right, and just real quick, I didn't hear your answer on did we make any payments?
We've made payments until the end of the contract period, which was April 30th. So, so since then, we have not made payments until this amendment gets officially approved.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, Tom, this is Trevor. Just a quick question. Is it, does this include recyclables, or is this only the trash? Right, recyclables or something, is it under a different contract?
It's under a different contract, but we do have the recyclable option with this vendor. If we've got high capacities, I believe when we moved out to Harvard, we had an additional container put out there with recyclables for the fleet services with metal, and we did send that back with them. But we do have a separate recycling contract, which is up later this year, for not only cardboard and paper, but there's like bulbs and batteries. So we've got multiple recycling vendors in place.
Okay, any final questions on this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nicole English. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item is a two-part item, item number BC 2020-396, Department of Public Works. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 1362, which will result in award recommendation to Bentley Systems Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $8,072 for the purchase of Bentley Select CAD system software subscription services. And it's for the period January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. And B, recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Tom Pavich again with Public Works. So this item, we're requesting an award recommendation of Bentley Systems. It's for not to exceed dollar amount. It's for software subscription for this year. The subscription is with our sanitary division as well as our road and bridge department for different types of system programs they use with engineers, the water flow, bridge construction, property lines, et cetera. It's very similar to Microsoft, where there's multiple types of applications that we utilize in the subscription. Again, I know there are some questions that I have not had a chance to really review, so I'll do my best here. I know the one contract, the one question is regarding why is this coming in so late. So I don't really have a light way to put it other than it was an oversight by one of my staff members late last year into this year. Once it was realized, not only by me, but that staff member when I brought it to their attention, that's when we started running into external limited COVID-19 factors with, again, getting recorded documents. It seems to be a reoccurring thing that we're experiencing, especially in the first few months of this. But it was an oversight by one of my staff. Since then, I've already started to reach out to our engineers, our Public Works IT point person to identify all the additional softwares that our department uses. Historically, the software applications that Public Works uses has usually been paid. They're processed as needed or by invoice. One of my goals is to get a lot of these, if not most of these vendors, on a contract. We were successful with the last software that we had, I believe it was with Appius, to get a 2-year contract. But when these software systems, are not the easiest to work with because they're very independent. Some of them are sole source, some are not sole source. There's very unique software systems. but they're typically paid for by, as needed or invoiced. So, but I'm trying to implement new protocols with all the software systems that we utilize here so we don't encounter this lateness in the future. And we do use similar software. There are other computer-aided design CAD programs, but all of them have different functions. This one's unique to our sanitary as well as our road and bridge department. And this subscription goes until the end of this year, so I've already started reaching out to one of my staff members to start the process for next year, to possibly get a contract in place starting next month, so we can start the process a little bit earlier.
Okay, thank you, Tom. Are there any questions from the board members on this item?
Yes, this is Dale.
Mm-hmm.
So, the one we have here, is this an actual contract as opposed to a purchase order?
I believe this is a purchase order. As I said, I was on furlough last week, coming in this morning, and all signs are pointing that this is a purchase order with a date. I know there's a lot of software that we utilize that is just by subscription or by invoice. I'm trying to migrate that all towards a contract, but this is a not to exceed purchase for that subscription.
And did we buy the same subscription last year?
We did. This has been a subscription that I believe our engineers and surveyors have been using for over 10 years now, from 2004, I believe. And it's listed on our IT standards and as proprietary, so, but what I need to finagle is, dates of when these subscriptions start and end, and that's what I've already started that new process and protocol.
And is there any other subscription that would work for the function that we're using it for, or is this a sole source?
I hate to use the word sole source just because it's not really applicable. There are other computer-aided design softwares that we use. It's like Appia, there's Ericsson. There's a new one that we're trying to get in place with, I think it's AutoPen. They all have different functions that our staff uses here. Our engineers, our architects, and surveyors. Any of them that are similar, but they have different functions. I mean, I don't really know how to otherwise word that. They have different solutions to what they're looking for, if that makes sense.
So, when you go out to do an actual contract, is it going to be competitively bid?
If it's something that I'll work with our IT department, and I'll do my own analysis to determine if there are other businesses that could provide something similar. But in a lot of these software systems, it could be this one as well, where we already have other tools that interact with this software system. So it may not be cost beneficial to bid out, but that's something that we'll have to encounter when we see these that come about.
Are there further questions from the board on this item?
Yes, Nan Baker?
Sure.
So, Tom, it says here that the services began in January 1st. Did we actually provide services, and has there been any payments, given this is an as-needed?
There has been no payments made, and to the best of my knowledge, licenses have been being used. They're not being, I can't say that they're fully functional until payments received. I can't say that, but I know no payments have been made. It's something that our teams here, our engineers and staff, they work with, on an often basis.
Okay. Did Bentley Systems contact us to say they have not received any payment, or did they bring to our attention that we did not renew? How do they, on their end, let us know that they're no longer in contract or purchase order?
I believe they have reached out to our IT representative for Public Works. I don't know when. They haven't reached out to me directly, which is, that's another one of my protocols I'm changing, is putting me as the point person with most of these vendors, especially the IT vendors. So I'm made aware of any type of glitches, either payment or systems or anything. I have not been notified of this one, but I'm sure, someone has.
Okay, but no payments have been made?
No.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Trevor, any further questions?
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm good, thank you.
Sorry, I thought I heard your name. Okay, hearing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trevor, second.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Macular. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
Thank you, everyone.
Next item is a two-part item, item number BC 2020-397, Department of Information Technology, on behalf of the Office of the Medical Examiner. A, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 2110, which will result in award recommendation to SHI International Corp. in the amount not to exceed $49,199.39 for the purchase of 2 Cisco Firepower appliances, 1 Cisco Firepower appliance as well, for 1120 NGFW, and 2 Cisco Catalyst switches and Cisco AnyConnect licenses and support. And B, recommending the award, and this is going to be amended, recommending the award for a joint cooperative contract purchase instead of a state contract purchase. Again, it is a joint cooperative contract purchase in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Janelle Green on behalf of the Department of IT. These items are for the support of the APHIS project that is being coordinated by the Office of the Medical Examiner. For your reference, NGFW is initials for a next generation firewall. And what these appliances, along with the switches and the Cisco AnyConnect licenses, are to provide secure transmission of data between the connection point for the APHIS software and to the users. The Cisco AnyConnect licenses are a separate VPN access, again, to access this information. From our understanding, the APHIS items will be utilized for the medical examiners and some of their clients' law enforcement agencies to access the database.
Thank you, Janelle. Are there any questions from the board members? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve this item as amended. Do I have a second?
Trevor, second.
Seconded by Mr. Macular. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Next item, please.
Moving on to exemptions. Item number BC 2020-398, Court of Common Pleas Corrections Planning Board, submitting an RFP exemption on requisition 1995, which will result in an award recommendation to Court Community Service, Inc. in the amount not to exceed $555,000 for court community placement and supervision services for probationers referred by the court in connection with the Community Works Service Placement and Supervision Program, and it's for the period January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2023. Anybody from Corrections Planning Board?
Marty?
Marty Murphy? Linda Lagunzad?
Okay, if we don't hear from them shortly, we will have to hold this item, unless anyone can speak on it.
And just a note, this item is associated with the award recommendation, which will be placed on the July 21st County Council meeting. Let me look it up real quick.
So it's on next council meeting? Do we have someone additional joining?
Yes, this is Marty Murphy. I was getting on for my item, and
You're right on time, Marty. Yeah, you're up. We just read your item into the record. If you could just present it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, say that again?
We just read your item, so we're waiting for someone to present it. So your timing's perfect. So if you could just present the item.
Okay, great. This is our contract with Port Community Services in the amount of $555,000 or $185,000 a year for a 3-year period. What they do is work placement. I think of note at this point in time, it's an option for our judges to get somebody out of the jail, put them on an electronic monitor, and put them on Port Community Service. This contract has been around since '94, and the dollar amount has been the same for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Okay, thank you, Marty. Are there any questions from the board on this item? Okay.
Hi, this is Dale. I have a question.
Sure.
My question is, given the general efforts that are underway in terms of diversion and similar things, is there any need to increase our allocation for this program, or does it provide sufficient money to cover the need?
Thank you, Councilman. We actually anticipate that in next year we will run out of money in the late September timeframe. Court Community Work Services has agreed that they would continue though through the end of the year at no extra cost. They've done this a couple other times in the past. As any nonprofit, I'm sure they would welcome an increase after 10 years. However, they are not looking for one right now.
Okay, thanks.
Are there any further questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve this item. Do I have a second?
This is Trevor, second.
This is Dale.
Okay, seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item approved. Moving on.
Moving on to the consent agenda, item numbers BC 2020-399 through 403.
Okay, board members, please take a moment to look through those items and feel free to speak up if there's any questions.
Mr. Chair, this is Trevor. Just for the record, there was some advanced questions on 401 and 402, but written responses were provided.
Okay, very good.
I have one question.
Sure.
I'd like to follow up on the answers that were provided on the LENA program, and the answer said that the responses seem to be very favorable as long as there's continuity with the teachers that are working with the children, and that begs the question of whether such lack of continuity and turnover in the teachers working with the children has been a problem in this program.
This is Bob Stabe from the Office of Early Childhood. Thank you, Council Member. Not more of a problem amongst these providers than across the entire system. You know, the turnover in the classroom is a chronic problem in the early childhood system because the wages are so low. So, no, I mean, there was nothing about these providers that were any different than average. And we're hoping to have a third cohort that we're going to work with, and so then when we do the final analysis, we can control for that variable and see how clearly see the impact of the program in those classrooms where we have continuity with the teachers.
Okay, council members, any further, or board members, sorry, any further questions on today's consent agenda item?
This is Nan Baker, just one.
Yeah.
On the items, services received and invoices but not yet paid, on 20001-709, the workers' comp, 27,657 was from 4/19/2019 to 12/20/2019. Why is that so late in taking care of that bill?
Good morning, Councilman. I'm Pat Smock on behalf of the Department of Human Resources. These were the items that were previously paid by voucher by the county. We went out for an RFP starting 1/1/20 and have contracted with this company from 2020 through 2022. Directly to your question, we did an audit with the company. The department did an audit with that firm in January, probably February and into March, to catch up on invoices that were not paid from 2019, and this is what was found. There were some delays from March to now due to COVID, et cetera, and getting this through the process and dealing with the firm. But these are 2019 bills that were found based on an audit done between the county and that firm.
Do we know what the problem was? I mean, it's probably not great that we catch it in an audit. Do we know why this was,
Agree 100%. These are individual invoices that were sent over to be signed off on and then sent up to our agency, and I think, or to the HR contracting group. And I think just due to changeover in staff, there were several of them missed. There were some that were not sent, some that were sent incorrectly, and then on the flip side, some that were just not correctly handled on the county side. And you are absolutely correct. We knew for some time that there were discrepancies between the vendor and ourselves, and we needed to correct them, and this will not occur moving forward.
All right. Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you, Councilman.
Final questions from the board members?
Mr. Chair, this is Trevor. I just have one question on the sheriff's item.
Sure.
The Vance Outdoors. Do we bid that out, or how do we procure that?
Yes, this is Mark Banza with the Sheriff's Department. This item was bid out, and it was bid out twice, and Vance was the only vendor to bid on said item.
Thanks.
Okay. Hearing no further questions, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as noted. Do I have a second?
Second.
Trevor.
Councilman Miller beat you, Trevor. So seconded by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, items are approved. Any additional business?
No additional business at this time.
Any public comment?
Comment at this time?
Public comment going once, twice, no public comment. I will now make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, this is